Honesty Box, the finale. Only 9 episodes. Not enough. Ronke is talking about Panny and how she's really glad to be paired up with him, and it was just like so cute. The Honesty Box goes boom, and they're told that they're going to be took in, one person for each couple, and there's £40,000 on the line. This shit's getting serious. Tommy and Rose decide that Rose is going in. Good plan. Chantel and Jovan decide that Chantel's going in. I think that any of them would have been fine at this, to be honest. Ronke and Panny chose Panny. Again, I think that any of them would have been fine at this, but Panny was the obvious choice. Tobias and Vicky were the only couple that seemed to be kind of swaying about who was going in. And then I thought back to the letter that he wrote Vicky saying you don't always have to be right. And at first I was kind of thinking, like, is it that much of a big deal? But then I was like, aye, it's 40,000. It's a fucking massive deal. Then Tobias is basically like, I'm going in. Decision made. So at this point I'm crapping myself. I'm like, please, 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 please. Nobody lie. There's £40,000 on the line here. So they're each taken into the box and they're asked if they think that the other couples have got a real love connection. And this is the problem that I've got with this show. Because when you take a real polygraph test, the answers are a definitive yes or no. Were you in bed by 8 o'clock on Friday night? Did you see him leave the building on Tuesday afternoon? Yes or no? There's no emotions connected to it. A polygraph test would likely not be able to pick that up. So if you're telling me that AI can look in your eyes when you're thinking, I'm not sure, I'm wondering, and give you even as high as an 88% accuracy, I don't believe it. Not only are you talking about emotions, but there's extra nerves on top of it because you know that everybody else is watching. It just doesn't seem fair to me. Everybody who goes into the box who's asked if Panny and Ronke have a real love connection, they all say no. And I don't know how many days has actually passed on the show since they've been paired up, but to us it was literally just the other day, so obviously they're going to say no. Ronke's chatting with Panny and she's like, oh, you're so honest, like you're such a nice guy. And he says, oh, can I get a kiss? And she's like, I'm not ready for a kiss. I was like, you're not ready? Oh my god. Back in the day, I watched Big Brother Under 18s, and the lassie wasn't drunk. None of them were drunk, obviously, because they weren't old enough to drink. And within the first couple of days, she had sex with one of the guys, and she had to go in the next day and get the morning after pill. And people say that the younger generation now are getting crazier. I highly disagree. Considering some of the couples in this show hadn't even kissed yet. Back in classic Love Island, they were having sex with the covers off them and everything. But anyway, she wasn't ready, right? And he was like, oh, a kiss on the cheek, right? And I was like, help! Rose and Vicky are talking about how Tobias is acting really nervous, and he's talking to the guys, and he's like, oh, if there's one, I think it's me. Oh my god, I felt so bad for him. But at the same time, if that was me, I'd be sitting there like, look, the Honesty Box fucking can't tell what we're thinking when there's emotions involved. And I don't care what MD says, so if it comes back that I've lied, I don't accept responsibility for it. I obviously feel very strongly about this. So they get to the wee bit outside. We'll call it the fire pit, even though there's no fire pit there. But they go to find out who's lied, and Vicky says to the mother's been a lie. And Tobias is like, oh, I think that was me. So they all put their hand up to see his tape, and it turns out that he lied, thinking that Rose and Tommy had a real love connection. But Vicky was like, good news guys, we're going to add 10 grand to the pot for everybody who was honest. And they added 30 grand, right? And at the time I thought, has this been like a last minute decision for the show? Because if there's going to be a season 2, they're going to have to put some money into that fucking trust fund. Because otherwise nobody's going to apply for the show. So they added the £30,000, and then, for what I remember, there was already 10,000 in it. So that made the final pot 40. Let me know if I'm wrong. So Vicky said, that's not all. One couple's got to be exiled, and whoever got the least votes for like a true love connection is going to go. So Ronke and Panny left. And to be honest, I don't think that they would have won anyway, because their coupling was just too new. But Ronke was like, oh, I'm really glad I'm leaving with Panny, and I feel as if I've won anyway. Get me a hanky. Even though I don't think that they would have won, I think that it was sad that they didn't get to be there for the last day. For me, if I was on a show and I was there with my friends, I would just want to be there for the whole experience. And I know that they two came in later, But just being there for the last day, I know that they've got to do it for the drama, right, or whatever, but it's just a sin. They're in the bedroom, they're like, guys, tomorrow's the last day. And with these shows, right, they should always at least try and make this episode a bit emotional. But they were in bed and they're like, oh, tomorrow's the last day, and none of them seemed to be upset or anything, right? I mean, I don't know. I like my emotions to be mixed when I'm watching these shows. But the next day, Lucinda came in with her cards and she was saying, right, you sit across for your couple and you choose the card, the thing that you're looking forward to most when you leave the house. So they were choosing the different cards and turning them round, and I was thinking, again, they've only been in there for 3 weeks, right? To us, 3 weeks doesn't seem like a long time. When you're in there, you don't have TV, music or whatever, it does seem a lot longer, and I understand that. And I know that you can fall in love with somebody in 3 weeks, you can fall in love with somebody in 3 seconds, in my opinion. But realistically, when you're on the show, you're in this bubble, you're with the person 24/7. But once you're out, you've got to go back to your job, you've got to go back to your house. They're probably living on other sides of the country. And it's not as easy as just being like, oh, once we leave here, we're just going to be together forever. There's a lot of factors to take into consideration. This is what I think when I'm watching any dating show, particularly maths. Because it's one thing to move to one side of England to the other, it's quite another to move from one side of Australia to the other side of Australia. And in some of these shows, like Love Island and that, they bring in people from other countries. Like, how realistically is that supposed to work unless you're loaded? They're then all took into the box to ask if they think that their couple is a real love connection. Later on that night, they were taken to their wee podiums with the champagne and they were going to find out who was winning. And Vicky said, earlier tonight you were asked if your connection is a real love connection, but not only can the box tell if you're being honest, it can also tell how sure you are. No, it fucking can't. It literally cannot. And this is coming from the girl who made a video last week saying that I thought ChatGPT could read my mind. This explains a lot about why we don't get a lot of character building, we don't get to know their personalities. Obviously, like, the public aren't voting or anything. But at the end of this, right, and they told you who won, and it was just like, oh, these people won. No statistics, no, oh, 80% sure, or like no graphs, no scientific evidence, just, oh, the box said so, so that's it. They literally could have fucking picked them out a hat. Unless they had professional body language experts watching the videos, I don't believe for 1 second that this box can do what they're claiming. Personally, I thought that Tobias and Vicky were going to win, but they came in third, then Rose and Tommy, and then Chantel and Jovan won. Now, at this point, I have got no doubt that Chantel and Jovan's connection was just as strong as the rest of them, because they really seemed to be getting on well. And I didn't have a problem with any of them winning, to be honest, at this point. The only thing that I had a problem with was with them claiming that this box can do all these fucking miraculous things. And I know it's only a reality TV show, but I do get very passionate about these things. If AI was that accurate, they would be using these things in court. There's no fucking way it can tell how sure you are, and nobody can convince me otherwise. So I was talking to somebody at the very end of this, but I thought that Chantel says, oh, 30 grand's a lot. But I thought that it was 40 grand, or maybe I just misheard her. But aye, it is a lot. And I think that considering they go in there and the pot starts at 0, it makes it more interesting to build it up rather than take the money away, because they'll still be thinking, oh, there's still like 60 grand left or whatever. So I'm actually just about to make a final video about this, because since it's the first season, I want to break down what I actually thought of the season and what I think of the cast, because I've got quite a different take on the cast of this show from what I have for other shows. So if you're interested in that, join me pretty much straight after this, and thanks for watching. Bye!